Any questions? Yes.
How secure is it?
It's as secure as banking. So if you're online banking and so on, it might not be perfect. It might not be perfect, I agree. No system is 100% perfect. But on the one side, while you're thinking about how secure it is, also think about on the other side that it's 20 to 9, surgery's shut now, you might suddenly start developing symptoms, not quite sure what it is. How great is it at the moment where you're calling 999 and turning up to the casualty or the out of hours and they know nothing about you? And so on the one side, we want a system that's as secure as possible, but on the other, we also want information to be readily available for that doctor or nurse who's trying to support you. My answer is not to say I know best, it's over to you and for you to decide what you think's right for you and your family.
How far back will your records go?
It very much depends on the surgery and when they introduce the IT system that they've got. The one that we've got started in 2000, so from 2000 we were typing things in. All the notes have been summarised as well, so any significant problems that you might have had before then have also been put onto the computer. So if you had a heart attack, for instance, in the 70s, hopefully that should be on the computer because it's a significant event. It might not have every single consultation that you had with your doctor because in those days people used to write on paper.
When it's up and going in all the surgeries, could it be easier to download your medical records onto a disc, burn it onto a disc and take it with you on holiday?
Anything is possible with IT. The only concern that a lot of people have is around the safety and security of something like that. If you've got it on your disc and that disc goes missing, then somebody else will be able to see everything. One of the things about the system we've got is that it's available anywhere, as I said, on an iPhone or whatever, but you've got to put passwords in. And as long as your passwords are safe and secure, you're fine. If you leave your passwords around, then yes, people will be able to see it. And I actually describe it as being similar to PIN numbers for your credit card. You won't leave them around.
What if you're not in a condition to give a password if you're in a hospital in some foreign land?
Yeah, this very same question came up with one of my patients who was told, well, what happens if you've collapsed and you're unconscious and an ambulance crew is called? Well, one of the things that I recommend everybody is on the mobile phone, on your mobile phone, put on in contacts ICE. Has anyone heard of ICE? What is it, Marjorie?
In case of emergency, and you've got the first contact number, and well, I've got 4.
Yeah. So what does it say on your phone?
ICE 1.
ICE 1, right. And then what's the idea? So if you collapse on the floor and we're unconscious...
If I collapse, the ambulance people pick up my mobile phone, find ICE 1 and ring that person. And if that person's not there, they ring ICE 2 and so on. Okay, so one of the things I want everyone in this room to do before you finish is put into your mobile phone, if you've got one, ICE, or ICE 1, ICE 2, ICE 3. Now ICE 1 would be the first contact. As a doctor, if you were collapsed on the floor and I didn't know who you were, whilst I'm down on my knees doing my basic life support, if there was some passerby going by, I'd be asking them not to root through your pockets and your purse and things, but say, has this person got a mobile phone? Yes. Go into the contacts, find ICE and dial it. Dial it, the other person on the other end of the phone says, hello. So, oh hello, I'm a passerby, this person's unconscious, can you please tell me something about them? It could save their lives. Now that person might know, oh it's Mrs. So-and-so and whatever, but imagine if that person had the passwords too for the record. Then that person might choose to let the person who's here at this end trying to save the person's life, wondering why has this person collapsed, might put the passwords in so that they can find out what's going on in the meantime. And of course, when that person comes round, they can then change the passwords if they were worried about someone else finding out about that password. So there are ways and means around it, but the important thing is that you've got to determine for yourself what you think is right for you.
Are you finding it difficult to encourage other medical practices to take up something like this?
Yes and no is a truthful answer. I've been up and down the country, I've been to the Information Commissioner's office, I've been to the General Medical Council, I've had meetings with defence organisations, I present at conferences around the country, and in fact dare I say even around the world on the subject. Everybody says it's a great system. Clinicians on the whole are happy about it, but they're just wondering when will the patients start coming through the doors asking. As I say, I think the power is actually with patients and the public and not with the clinicians. If you start asking for it, even if at first they're like a little bit unsure, then the more people start asking, the more it will become acceptable. One of the issues is that trust issue. Some clinicians are worried that you're going to sue that doctor for not doing this, that and the other. They're as scared as you are. They don't quite know what's going to happen if you're suddenly looking at that record when you've never been able to see it before. The trick is not to sort of get into an adversarial situation, but actually to turn around and say, hey doc, you're my doc, I trust you, I want to work with you, wouldn't it be great if we can work together and see a way of finding out how to do it? So get into a conversation, find out what the issues are. I think truthfully most people just don't know anything about it. I think that's the bigger problem. It's not the fact that people are scared.
I mean, my biggest concern about all technology is making sure there's equity of access. That's the big driver. It's always having a few interested people taking up disproportionate time in healthcare and doctor time and technology time and doing all this for the people who are out there who really need it, a bit shy, perhaps not so technically savvy. And you've done lots about education and making sure it's widespread, but that's still the big barrier here, because the vast majority of people who are accessing healthcare are elderly patients, not as technically savvy, dexterity problems, so that can be all worked around, but that's been my concern about equity and access. And I know you've done a lot of work around that and addressing that, but perhaps you could let some of the people here know, because you have done quite a bit of work on those issues.
Absolutely, and of course you'll have heard on the news 2-3 days ago about Digital England and the huge drive that the government has to ensure that broadband is available everywhere. I don't think the system that we've got is going to be there for every single person in the population, but I do think that probably 80% of the population could do this. And actually, when I've done surveys amongst my patient population and said, have you ever used EasyJet? Have you ever booked a holiday online? Have you ever tried to find out about your health online? It's surprising how many people have either done it or they've got their friends or family to do it for them. I don't expect all of you to do all the things I've described, but if you start looking inside your own family, I've found that grandchildren often think they're going to live forever in a day, so they don't need to worry about their health, but they've got the IT skills, and that might be an opportunity. And what I found is it's bringing families together. I mentioned the library course. I think the library is a very, very important place where you could all go along and say, can you just show me how to use a computer? Could you just show me that NHS Choices website? Can I just watch that video again about chest pains? Because you can see the power of that. That comes on anytime, any place, wherever you want it. And it's almost like having that can-do mentality. Again, all the people in this room had an option. They could have stayed at home, laid in bed, felt depressed and felt there's nothing I can do now because I've got a heart problem, and wait for something to happen. But actually, you've proven to everybody, you've proven to me, and I don't even know you, that actually there is something that you can do, and you can come to an event like this and learn more about your heart and how to look after it and things. This isn't much harder. The hard bit is accepting that you can make a difference.